Hello, welcome back to the ministry. And where am I? I'm in the middle of the song Walked Out of Heaven by Jagged Edge. So let's see, where were we? I see my mama told me that if it's meant to be, she'll come back. Some of these men have been in a level of distress that they even went to parental figures or mentorial people, elders, people that have given them wisdom about relationships, to talk to them about either their relationships, whether it be the one that they was in that was the counterfeit, or the one that they are intrigued about getting in with you. Because some of you were with them before, but some of you are brand new and they don't understand how to deal with the feelings that they were given or that they've been dealing with. And they had to go to these people for wisdom, whether it was a mother, a father, a parental figure to them, for advice. She'll forgive me, and the best thing I can do is just let her go. I know I don't want to do it. Some of them, and this can be a double entendre, where they're thinking about forgiveness from you, but the forgiveness from you is to come into the relationship, whether it's a new relationship or you're reconnecting because God said that this was your husband from somebody from your past. And they've been concerned that you will not forgive them if you're from their past, but they also been concerned that if y'all had a spiritual connection, forgive them for taking so long, forgive them for this, forgive them for that. Elisa Marie did a video a while back, said, I know it's taking a long time, but let me explain. That's the way they're going to be. They're going to want you to understand it took so long because I was dealing with all of this. Okay? So they need your forgiveness in relation to that. But alternatively, they're seeking forgiveness from the counterfeit because of the fact that they know they got to let that person go out their heart and in every way, and they're hoping that that person can forgive them for what they did. Go back to my inception word. It was part 10, where I talk about the part in Inception where Leonardo DiCaprio's character admits that he used her, his wife, Maul. He used her as a experiment for what it was that he was doing. And he knew he was the cause of her losing her mind. He knew it. Some of them are hoping that what they've come into the revelation of in relation between you and them does not impede on the fact that the other person's going to forgive them. They want forgiveness from that person because they came to the realization and came to themselves and now know they can't be with that person. And they understand that. But if I continue to push, she will pull away. I'm hearing a tug of war It's a pushing and it's a pulling. A pushing and a pulling. They know that inevitably, if they still in a relationship with anybody that is counterfeit, they push, God gonna pull that person back. They pull back, that person's continuing to push forward because they don't want to let go either. So they gonna keep trying to find the entry point. Perfect example. I guess that's why the Lord had me watch this show last night. Old episode of my show was on last night, and the woman, she desperately, when I say desperately, wanted this woman's man. That's why I was so glad when that setup happened. She desperately desired to hook up with the woman's kingdom spouse, we'll call it like that, because she was jealous of the fact of the way he had relationship with this woman. So she came and tried to use a sob story to get the man to hug all over her. And the guy wasn't doing it. He's like, I can be here for you, but I can't be for you like that. Some of you God-ordained spouses have come to the realization, just like I said with that Wyatt Earp movie that my dad had on this morning. The man said, I can't be with you the way you want. I got somebody else. I'm sorry. Let it go. They understand that the pull is the fact that they know they need to come to you. The push coming from the other person saying, hey, don't go nowhere, don't leave me, don't. Now they are pushing, in some ways pushing them away, because God's starting that push. But in their case, the other person, meaning the woman, is pushing. She pushes as long as they stay put. But when they start to pull back because they try and get where they're supposed to go, she comes in and says, I want to hold on to you. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a push and a pull. So, and I know that my heart is a reality. They've come to the realization and coming to themselves what the reality of their infatuation is, and can no longer stay where they know that that's not real. So they trying to get to reality, meaning what's real, what's God, what's godly. So they got to separate themselves from what's not, because they know that being in something that's not of God feels like they done walked out of heaven. They ain't walking with God. It feels like they're not walking with God. So they got to get out of that situation as soon as possible. So I didn't treat her like she wanted to be treated. They've come to the realization, for the counterfeit, they could not treat them how they desired to be treated, because it was a round and round circle. 9 times out of 10, some of them are narcissists. So they're operating under narcissistic spirit. So you never are ever going to ever be able to satisfy a person like that. It's just never going to happen. But they also understand, for the God-ordained spouse, the time that they wasted didn't treat them like they were supposed to, meaning they didn't treat you like you were meant to be. I was listening to the song, and I'm going to insert this here. I was listening to the song, A Woman's Word by Maxwell. And I sat there and I thought to myself, if you flip that song and you thought about it, because he was talking, the song in the video anyway, it talks about people's losing things, meaning losing people that they love, losing children, loss of some sort. It was some type of loss. But then if you would flip that, I was literally listening to that, and I was like, if you would have flipped that, and the person was thinking about the fact of something that they never got to have, think about it like that. You know how detrimental that would be to a person? Meaning, you take all the same lyrics that he said and say that in a reference to somebody they never got to be with. To me, it did it in her song, Almost Had You. If you just flip that concept of a woman's work in that way, that's gotta be torment. I'm just saying. I'd have thought of something they could have had but didn't pursue. What else is there? It feels like I walked right out of heaven, understanding they walked out of the covering of God. They nearly threw their life away in something that was not of God, that they were just trying to force because it was infatuation, and they nearly threw away and came out of the covenant that God wanted them to be in, because they wanted to do it their own way, and they've come to themselves and had the epiphany of themselves. I done did this wrong. This wasn't right. Not by any means. And they're coming to themselves in all of the understanding that comes with it. Hey girl, waiting for you all the time. They, in themselves, have been in a waiting space because God needed to deal with them for the fact that they needed to come into the realization that they nearly threw their life away. They needed to come into the realization that there were issues from childhood that lingered that caused them to end up in these relationships and choosing these wrong things. They had to come to themselves in relation to these things. And they were in a waiting period of isolation because of that. Until God had them on a timeout. You're on timeout. You can't. I got you in isolation because I need you to come to the realization. Most people don't want to do that. But in doing that, there are people that would prefer to commit suicide than to sit and deal with themselves. It's a very sad factor. That's what the devil wants. Because if you deal with yourself, you'll actually come to Jesus. And they want to take you out before that happens. And some people are way too cowardless to the process because they don't want to do the work. They would rather think that the easy way out is to end their life. So, let's see. Supposed to move on with my life, and girl, I tried and tried. The way that God introduced you spiritually to your spouse, that in the introduction, video, photograph, something, whatever it was, audio, voice, recording, seeing you, whatever it was, and God showed them, and then repetitively showed them, and then gave them dreams about you, and then gave them all this type of stuff. And see, once they came to the realization, God, you telling me that this person has XYZ. When they agreed to it, at that point of agreement, everything else had to dismantle. They tried to call themselves crazy, and every time they tried to, what ended up happening is something would dismantle in their actual life, which actually would show them This is sending me back this way. They tried to move forward, sending them back. They tried to dismantle it again. They tried to move forward. Tried. Because once you know, it's like a child, once you've taught them what's wrong, you're not going to keep explaining yourself to that child once you've realized they got it. Once you know that they have it, you know that anytime they're not doing it, that's because they're operating in a level of rebellion. They want to be mischievous. They want to do whatever. They just don't want to do it. And what do you do as a parent? Oh, you're not. Let me take something away from you. Let me show you that you're going in the wrong direction. Let me dismantle stuff that you're putting together that is your own idols and iniquities. Let me take that apart. Trying to go in your own direction. Let me take it apart. Keep trying to go. Let me take it apart. That's what God's doing. So I feel like I can't walk. I feel like I can't talk, girl. As long as they're trying to go in the wrong direction, God's not going to let them move any further forward or backward. So they can't go anywhere until they go in the direction of God's will. But wait, I thought God gave us the right to make our own decisions. God gave us free will, right? In some cases. He did. But God sees the end from the beginning. Some things that these people were going to do would have led to their physical demise. And God said, I can let you go in that way, but you might actually be the one to end up perishing if I let you go that way. So I'm going to keep you right here until you do what I need for you to do. Some of them tried to bargain with God, and God said, I hear what you're saying, but that's not which way I'm going, and I could show you that that's not going to work out to your favor. So you can try to talk with me, but I'm going to give you a road to Damascus. You ain't going to be able to see, until you get that thing together. Ebenezer Scrooge moment where he had to go through 3 different scenarios to see what his life would have been like if he went in the wrong direction and came back to himself. So, what to do to get back right with you? I feel like I walked right out of heaven, because they walked out from under the covering of God, and they realized that they need to come to God, get right with God, and get right with you. Let's see. If you ever loved somebody, if you ever had somebody, to the people that you waiting on a God-ordained marriage, if you ever loved somebody. For the people that are waiting on reconciliation, if you ever had somebody. But you know that you hurt that somebody. For those of us that have been standers, that the Lord has shown us what we're supposed to have. We've had to pray, we've had to stand, and we've seen. It's not that we were watching. Yet some of it's what God showed us simply. And because of that, that's where the pain was. The revelation hurt. The understanding of what God was showing us hurt. It's not that we were in relationship with these people to the degree that we actually were physically. I find myself sometimes saying, dang, God, I feel like he betrayed me and I wasn't in a relationship with him yet. And they feel the same way. And for some of you that were in a relationship, meaning your standards, because you know that God already told you that the person that you was with is the one. And they know physically because they were with you. They remember the time. They actually were in that relationship. And they are actually saying, I really hurt that person. Oh my God. I'm going to tell you a short story. I remember a minister told a story of the fact that the guy came to her for counseling, had been with one of her family members. They dated, everything was en route for everything to come together, everything was good, and he stepped out on a relationship and tore the relationship apart. The girl came back crying, it was a mess, it was horrible. He ended up calling her, because she was the minister, and asked for advice. And he ended up confiding he had a childhood wound that was causing him to feel that he needed to do what he did. He was trying to figure out how to get back in because he knew he hurt that person. Blessed be to Jesus that they went through the process that they needed to go through of healing, and they got married quickly. When she told the story of this, she had just got back from their wedding ceremony. And there was a blessing on that. I think she said that she left them with a blessing before she left the wedding. It's pain there. Trauma. From that drama. Next. Let's see. Let me hear you. Say it. Now, this was for crowd participation, but some of you understand. Some of you are wanting, let's just look at it like this. Some of you are wanting these men to please come forward and say something. And they want to hear you come forth and admit that you did know. Admit that this whole thing wasn't a situation that was, oh my God, this is crazy. It's real. It's legitimate. It's going to happen. They want to hear you say something. One of my other favorite songs is, what's her name? Oh my God, her name is slipping my head. I be listening to her other song the other day. Her face is in front of me. Give me her name. Oh, God. JoJo. That's who it is. JoJo and what is his name? Not Molly, the other guy. JP Morgan. JoJo and JP Morgan's song. Where say so. Both of y'all are praying for the other person to say so. You want them to say so. Say it. Say it. Admit. And it's not about I told you so, say so. It's about admitting that, yes, you are coming to the understanding that God has said this is what should happen. Some of us have been sitting and waiting for these men to say something to confirm that God really is involved in this. But some of these men are in higher enough positions that they can't just say, and they've learned how to wear the poker face. But some of them, their poker face is already fading. The facade's gone. Some of them, you can look in their faces even right now. Facade's gone. It ain't there no more. They don't even fake smile no more. It's gone. They over it. And then it's the verses repeating. It feels like I walked right out of heaven. They nearly threw their life away. To marry somebody that you are not God ordained to marry could literally mean life or death. Some of these men had premature death on their heads. Some of them really did. And if it wasn't for you being a stander, that would still hold. There was how did Tiffany Montgomery put it? Scheduled points in time for certain things to happen to them by the devil. The devil had what you call, when trust fund people, they have payments that are released at certain time frames. That's what these certain curses were going to be released upon these men's heads. And some for the women, it was going to be released at a specific time. Go back to the story that I said, I don't know whether it was the beginning of this or the previous part, where I was telling the story of the man who was asking God, I want to choose this person. I have two good options. God said they both good options, but they both going to die at 35. Yeah, that's called premature death. Death was coming to them. So your intercession actually stopped that. Your intercession for standing pulled a, Hezekiah turned into the wall moment in the stead of your husband. You pulled a Hezekiah standing against the wall moment for your husband. For men, it was for your wife. Because they had a scheduled premature death date. Years ago, when I was into certain things that my previous relationship introduced me to, there was an old anime called Death Note. And in it, each person had death date. And I can't remember if they were trying to stop the death dates, but I know death dates were over these people's heads. So this person was coming to collect those people in that anime. But with that being said, some of your spouses had those. Some of the people had those. But because of you, they were if they hadn't, they would have thrown their life away. Literally losing their life. Suicide. Homicide. Cancer. Drug overdose. Somebody killed them. Because, yeah, some of these counterfeits were crazy enough that they literally would have pulled some of them, that Stockholm Syndrome thing where they have a level of obedience to this person where they are going to, in order to keep them submissive to them, they kept drugging them. Some of them, that's what the counterfeit was doing to them. They were drugging them to keep them docile with them. And eventually it would have killed them. Mm-hmm. So really, they almost threw their life away. So this wasn't no joke. This standing wasn't a joke. Some of y'all, and you know it who you are, know that the Lord told you at certain points in the time to fast, because if you didn't, during that time frame, it would have took them out. I remember Dana Ray telling a story where she was telling about the fact that she walked on her balcony on vacation. Something in her spirit, which was God, told her to go back to her room when she could have went to the beach and hung out. But something in her spirit was saying, go back. And she went back. And when she went back, something in her spirit told her, it's the Holy Ghost, pray for him right now. When God says pray, you don't know what you're stopping. You don't know what you're interceding for. I've heard, and it had nothing to do with Kingdom Marriage. A woman was talking about, she was in her closet in prayer. The Lord put her family members' faces in front of her. And she immediately started praying for them. Later that day, she got a phone call from these family members, and she was like, hey, how you doing? I was praying for you this morning. It was weird. It came to me in the middle. I was like, what was going on? She's like, you were praying? Oh, my God. We were in a situation this morning around such and such time, and we were on the road, and an 18-wheeler was about to hit our car, and suddenly, it didn't. It turned, the jackknife went the opposite direction because she started praying at the time that their faces came before her. You never know what your prayer is doing for a person. So, that's the end of that song. I hope this blessed you. Until next time, much faith, love, peace, and blessings.